When we talk about reaching the heights of American and Canadian and Major League Soccer, it starts here. The end product is the World Cup. The end product is MLS Cups, but it begins here. Man, oh man, does this kid live up to the hype.
A second cross floated in. Serrano! Seattle Sounders with the goal!
These 15-year-olds, these 16 and 17-year-olds, to go through tournaments like this, the adversity they face. Because every single one of these players has the ability to play for your first team. Remember this when your first team lifts MLS Cups in the future.
The sun is shining in Frisco, Texas for a perfect day for knockout soccer with the Generation Adidas Cup 2020 edition. And we are into the round of 16, an all MLS matchup. Charlotte FC in their first ever edition at the Generation Adidas Cup facing off against one of the giants of the academy setup in NYCFC. Welcome in, everybody. I'm David Goss alongside former FC Dallas player right here, Mr. Bobby Warshaw. Bobby, we've already had 2 games in the book today at the round of 16. It's been dramatic. It's been energetic. There's something special about these knockout games.
Yeah, we're into the games, win or go home, especially for this type of competition today. You already said it. NYCFC, one of the traditional powers in the MLS Academy setup, versus a team that wants to meet that tier. Charlotte FC, they've already won their group in the opening round. Here they have another statement to make.
An unbelievable opportunity for Charlotte FC. Let's take a look at the bracket and what these teams are playing for. The opportunity to face off against Liga MX opposition in the next round in Tigres. In that lower quadrant, we've already seen Inter Miami go through in a dramatic 2-1 win against Atlanta United here. Coming up, our non-broadcast games will start in about an hour in the round of 16, and we close everything out with a big one, Man U against LA Galaxy. As tasty of a matchup you can get at this U17 level. So we're excited to see this one for these two teams. Some players to look out for. The number 10 for NYCFC, Mateo Ponzo Ocampo. He will be the one to create everything up top. And then Keenan Bader, the left wing back for this Charlotte FC team. He will look to create down that left wing and get some opportunities. Bobby, tactical matchup, different styles, different systems between these two teams.
NYCFC will come out in the 4-3-3, similar to the way we often see their first team play. Of course, that first team reigning MLS Cup champions. On the other side, Charlotte, 3 center backs, more tactical, more methodical, will look to use their spirit and competitive nature in this one.
So 60 minutes to decide who moves to the next round. Charlotte FC in their all-black kits going left to right on your monitors. NYCFC in the sky blue going right to left for this one. David Goss and Bobby Warshaw with you, along with Kelly Glendenning down on the sideline. Will bring us some more information from these two groups. And Bobby, really, for this one, it is the model from NYCFC. They won Generation Adidas Cup trophies in year 1. Joe Scally, Gio Reyna, Tavon Gray, the academy working from day 1 for them. And on the flip side for Charlotte FC, trying to build that.
One of the hardest challenges in world sport is combining immediate trophies with player development. And we have seen that from New York City FC coming off an MLS Cup with a player from their academy starting at right back in that game. And David, you mentioned it. We've seen this organization here at GA Cup for years. We've seen them take on River Plate, Flamengo, Real Madrid. They have taken on the biggest and the best. Everyone knows what to expect from this team. But on the other side, that is where Charlotte hopes to get. Yes, it's their first year in Major League Soccer, but they are one of the talent-rich areas in the country. Anybody from the East Coast knows how good those teams from North Carolina are. Right now, it's Charlotte FC, but it used to be Castle and Triangle. The list of players is endless that have come out of this North Carolina region.
And Christopher Taggart trying to show that Charlotte FC will not be intimidated in this game. Stepping in with the strong tackle there. Shout out to all of you on YouTube and on Twitch watching alongside with us. And my guy Sporadicus, he says Goss with the deep stare into Bobby's soul right there in the open. David Goss and Bobby Warshaw, we are the happiest 2 people in the world. We are, I don't know, 9 days into a 17-day stretch of youth soccer games here at the Generation Adidas Cup. We've had some incredible games already today, Bobby. Inter Miami, Atlanta United, our first game. It showed you, even in MLS teams that play in MLS next, that know each other a little bit, this is at a different level.
Now that we're in the knockout round, the tension is building. One of the main premises of GA Cup is the consistent pressure. How can you replicate what young people will feel when they get to the professional level? And we're seeing that escalated now, that every game means you can either move on for a chance at a trophy or you've got to play in the consolation games.
Zaretzer with the ball down the line. Armeino trying to chase. And we've talked about NYCFC, their pedigree. You mentioned Charlotte in North Carolina, a soccer-rich area. We've got an expert, a North Carolina native, Kelly Glendenning. Kelly, tell us a little bit more about the soccer culture down there.
Yeah, so I grew up about 3 hours outside of Charlotte in Cary, North Carolina. So I played for Castle and Triangle Football Club, which is now North Carolina FC Youth. They play in USL Championship and have the NC Courage, notable NWSL team. So getting to experience that firsthand, just that rich soccer culture. I was playing Charlotte teams pretty much every weekend in our tournaments, and it's so competitive. So many of those athletes go on to play for North Carolina in college and North Carolina State, Wake Forest, who Mike LaHood, who was on our broadcast earlier, he played there. So it's just highly competitive, as I said, and a great place to really watch these youths develop. They're used to that winning culture in North Carolina. So Charlotte picking up right where the history left off.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kelly. And even just an opportunity here for NYCFC to open the scoring, and it's just wide from Armeino.
NYCFC coming out in this one, wanting to be the protagonist, pressing high, trying to force Charlotte to make a mistake, and that's what we saw already.
And in a month when we've seen the return of the Open Cup for the first time in 2 years, just the mention of Cary, North Carolina, I could feel a bunch of geriatric LA Galaxy players shudder at home of the thought of being rail-hawked. As that ball tracked deep into the corner.
That's a deep cut.
It is. That's what we're here for on Twitch. But as Kelly mentioned, this is a soccer hotbed. This is not, can you bring soccer to a region? This is not, can you teach a culture? This is just Charlotte FC tapping in. And I mean, you just hear those schools that get rattled off, and think about the pros that have come out of those schools on the men's and women's side. It is the cream of the crop. We're talking national team. We're talking players that went and played in Europe, and now they've got a pro environment right on top of them to train with, to see it at the highest level, and potentially, like Jalen Lindsay, be a part of it. This one popped up into the air. It was Martin who headed that one out. Now a throw in coming. Armeino once again, a bright start for him. Mork brings it down and claims for a handball. Armet from our head official and Muhammad Hassan. So NYCFC, the long ball over the top from Rossi, and the chase is on. NYCFC losing their final game of the group stage, but they'd already qualified for the next round, facing off against Monterrey, both of them on 6 points. So NYCFC, a perfect performance up until that point, including a big 2-0 win over their rivals in the New York Red Bulls in their second group stage game. So NYCFC, they've been put to the test, and they've stood up so far in this competition. And we mentioned it off the top, Bobby, for the Charlotte FC team, winning a brutal group with Seattle Sounders, who were champions of this competition in 2019, Austin FC, one of the bright young lights, in Santos Laguna, and Charlotte FC coming out on top. It's been an impressive performance for a group that's only been together for 2 years now.
One of the joys of this tournament is always seeing which clubs step up, which clubs are ready to take their academy to the next level.
And, you know, creating some threat once again. Martin clears it away.
We saw in 2019. Nobody was talking about the Seattle Sounders coming into GA Cup. Yes, NYCFC and Dallas and RSL. And here come the Seattle Sounders, and they run through everyone on their way to the first top division championship for an MLS team in GA Cup history. And then, of course, less than 12 months later, we saw those players start to make their way into the first team.
5 members of that team playing in the Seattle Sounders first team. It's 8 members who are playing professional soccer in some capacity right now already. Stepping up there is Zaretzer, trying to close things down. Now Diego Rossi battling along the side. It's Bader who comes away with it, but Mork wins it back for NYCFC. Ponce Ocampo lays it off for Mork, and then immediately cleared away by Marshall. Physical battle so far as Taggart trying to get to the end line, to the sideline. Armeino now closing things down. McFarland to the feet of Ponce Ocampo. Christian McFarland, a lone player on this roster right now, already on an MLS deal, signed as a homegrown by NYCFC. They would have had a second player due to injuries. Maximilio. I'll just stutter over that one by myself. Not available for this one. Christian McFarland, that left back. One of a number of players who have already been in a first-team environment for NYCFC. Diego Rossi going down to first-team preseason last year with the MLS squad. Playing in GA Cup here now as the press is on for New York. Venegas closing things down, and Brown safely puts it out. 30-minute halves for a 60-minute game here in the round of 16 at the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup. We started with 10 groups of 4, 40 clubs overall, both from MLS, the 28 clubs, including the 29th in St. Louis SC at the U17 level, and then 11 international clubs. You've seen Manchester United, who we'll see later, Celtic, Flamengo, some of the top teams in Mexico, as well as AS Roma. Oh, a ton of challenges for these young players. Now standing here in the round of 16, looking to keep things going. Ponce Ocampo standing over this one. He floats this one in on goal, and Brown goes up and takes it down. NYCFC and Charlotte settling in. Ponce Ocampo steps forward to win it back. Mateo Ponce Ocampo trying to skate between 2 defenders. And the foul goes in favor of Charlotte. Ponce Ocampo, one of the players who's already appeared in MLS Next Pro for NYCFC, committed to Georgetown coming up next year. As the Stanford man next to me rolls his eyes on the reference of the soccer powerhouse that is the Georgetown Hoyas. Diego Rossi committed to UVA. It's a good soccer school as well. Flying forward now is Charlotte FC. Carmona up the line. And Taggart called for an offside. Taggart, 2 appearances in the preseason with the first team in Charlotte FC's inaugural year. So a huge opportunity for him. Bobby, you didn't have a local MLS club growing up for you. What do you think it would have been like to have those opportunities at 15, 16 to play around pros?
We did have the Harrisburg City Islanders. Give a little love to the City Islanders organization here. Yeah, but absolutely. I mean, when I hit 17 as a member of the U.S. Youth National Team, there wasn't a way to push myself to the next level every single day. The best I could do was play with my club's under 18 team or under 19 team, which was great, but it's not the same as the task of trying to play with professional players. So absolutely, having the ability to having players from all around the world at the MLS level right in your backyard, and that's what you can move to when you're ready, is a huge advantage for all of these kids.
Oliver Stafford with the captain's armband. Pushing that ball forward. Armeino can't chase that one down, bouncing out.
Through the first 12 minutes, fair to say this is the most hectic NYCFC have looked in this tournament so far?
Yeah, I mean, they're not dealing with the Red Bull press, but I would agree with you. Normally we see a team that it's on the ground. Everything's coming through those 3 central midfielders, back out to the fullbacks, and this game has seen a bit more of, feels like them dumping and trying to press high. Maino for some space. Ponzio not able to bring it in under control.
And to build on your point, David, that is a concept that we do see often at this tournament. With the wind, with the unpredictable opponents, the fields, a lot of teams will come into the first 10 or 15 minutes and try and limit their risk. They'll say, we don't need to play the beautiful game right from the start. We can build our way into it.
Good step forward from Haxari. And now we see NYCFC starting to link up. And Venegas was dragged down. It was Neely on the foul there. Maybe fortunate to avoid a card on that one. So Stafford, we've seen him start at right back as well as at center back in this competition. Wearing the armband for this one. And he looks to spray the long ball over the top, and it'll sneak through off the head of a Charlotte defender, and Brown will keep it from going out for a corner kick.
It's a good look from Stafford when you're playing against a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2 mid-block like we're seeing from Charlotte. You can either try and move them side to side, or if they're pressing their lines forward, try and play into the depth. We hear this often. Challenge the back line, make them turn their backs. It doesn't come off there. With good thinking, especially with Charlotte having a similar idea. Playing into the depth, make defenders deal with it facing their own goal.
Stafford with the tackle there. So he's doing it on both sides of the ball right now for NYCFC. You can hear some of the teammates for these players at the youth levels, the U15s, with their day off in between the round of 16 and the quarterfinals. The U17s will have a break coming up tomorrow as Armeino breaks forward in this game. Cuts inside. Floats to the far post. Ponce Ocampo. It's saved. A second save. The third shot's cleared away. Heroic goalkeeping and defending for Charlotte FC. Midway through this first half, and we're still level.
The triple save. 2 from the goalkeeper. Brown coming up big twice. What a ball into the far post. Ponce Ocampo does everything right. Clean contact, stays balanced, but great footwork by Brown to get across the goal, make himself big. And then the help on the third one as the defenders retreat behind him.
What a performance from Brown.
One thing that caught me off guard there, David, did the ball hit the referee on an entry pass?
Yeah.
And they didn't stop it?
Yes. Rossi with the ball played in, headed away. Mork brings it down. Puts it to the left back's feet in McFarland. He gives the outside run for Armeino. To Ponzio. Ponce Ocampo dropping deep. Ponce Ocampo now looking to pick apart this defense. Bobby is the number 9 wearing that number 10. He really does a little bit of everything for this New York team.
Yeah, he's the one that drives this team forward. He's got good players behind him in midfield to connect. But a lot of the danger either comes through him or finds him on the end of it. And now we see from NYCFC structurally, as their center striker comes out, they'll have either a midfielder, in this case, to Ponzio, drive forward and fill that space to make sure there's still someone in the center striker position.
Another threat coming here from NYCFC. Knocked down and cleared away by Martin. And now McFarland picks up the ball. Armeino to the feet of Ponce Ocampo. He turned away from one defender but couldn't get away from Carmona.
And just as we were saying at the 12-minute mark that it was a hectic game, the last 3 minutes it's been calmer. NYCFC has been able to get on the ball, connect, closer to what we expect to see from this club.
And you have to say, though, for Charlotte, you're midway through. This is your first time ever at the Generation Adidas Cup. Your club is young. You're learning. You're still at 0-0, and I think they've shown they can hang in this game and now start to grow. Ball over the top here for Venegas. He is looking for that breakthrough. Drop back to Mork. Mork's ball in He was looking for the run there of DePonzia.
Again, we see NYCFC threatening that Charlotte back line. From center back to winger, outside in run, just over the center backs.
Taking quickly here on the corner kick. Opportunity in the box, and it's the breakthrough. The defensive midfielder, Zaretsa, steps up, and he gets the goal.
The celebration with his teammates. The late arriving run into the box. From midfielder to midfielder. Mork to Zaretzer. 1-0 NYCFC on the back. And you love to see it, of a quick corner kick.
And you have to say, Bobby, well-deserved for NYCFC. You mentioned that calm. It's been them over the last 5-6 minutes that have put that ball down and started to find the game a little bit. It was
a slow start to the game. Hectic. Not a lot happening. But then, as we so often see, when this NYCFC team starts to click, it is beautiful. An organization capable of playing as sharp, as creative, as connected as you'll really see anywhere in the league. It goes all the way down through the organization.
Ball played wide now. Martin drives the cross into the far post. And it's knocked down. NYCFC, they've huffed and puffed here in this first half, and they got it finally on the goal. Beautiful turn and cross. And a calm finish. And Bobby, you mentioned those are midfielders. They get into the attack. They get opportunities. And listen, I saw you finish in your opportunities. That was Bobby Warshaw.
Something very aesthetically pleasing about a late arriving midfielder in the box, isn't there?
Michael Lehoud's been talking about it for 3 days now. Every goal, he says, that's what happens when you make deep midfield runs. We saw it twice for Tigres in our last game, which these two teams are matching up to face off against. We saw it from Marcel yesterday. We've seen it in a number of these games.
And on the flip side of that, for Charlotte, it's the most frustrating type of goal you can give up when you don't mentally transition as quick as possible. We talked in the opening that Charlotte's competitive advantage in this game would need to be their organization, their reactions, their spirit. And the ball goes out for a corner, and they do not react quick enough. NYCFC takes it short, and it's a goal.
Chance for Charlotte to react quickly. Martin in transition. Ball to the far post. It bounces, and Rossi clears it away. And immediately, Venegas is starting the attack for NYCFC. Ponzo Ocampe surrounded by black shirts. Carmona now into the attack for Charlotte. Carmona skips by two players. Out wide for Martin. Martin rolls it back to Carmona. Carmona somehow keeps it alive. Is there a shooting chance in it? And then it's cleared away before Charlotte can get a chance.
The first run by Carmona through the Charlotte midfield. And David, this week we've had a chance to talk about all of the former pros going through the match evaluator program, watching these games, and who is the one player that every single one of those former pros mentioned? It was the number 10 for Charlotte FC, Carmona. He has been excellent in every group stage game, whether it's playing just off the striker or coming in from wide, and it caught the attention of everyone who was watching.
Miller with this one down the left line, and Bader has his cross blocked down. So corner kick coming here for Charlotte FC.
And a great reaction from Charlotte. They started to lose the game for 5 minutes. It leads to a goal. But here an immediate emotional reaction to take the game back toward NYCFC and get a set piece out of it.
So corner kick opportunity coming. Probably we've got someone in the chat loving the Harrisburg City Islanders. Shout out to probably, what is it, Paul Beecher? Brian Beecher? Did I get that right?
The head coach?
Who was your coach?
Bill Betcher.
Bill Betcher. I was really close on that one, and I'll take it. So it looks like it's going to be Bader with the left-footed corner. So the outswinger coming. As Mohammed Hassan, our head referee, resets things. Driven ball to the far post, and it's just over the head of Keeley. Keeley, Neely, and Marshall, the three center backs, all have a goal already in this tournament.
And the quality of that left foot to clip it in there with the wind gusting. It doesn't move. It's on a rope. Sharp, from the left wing back Bader.
Guitar Doll in the Twitch chat says the team that just scored NYCFC, they're really taking on a defensive shift now after giving up that goal. But I think, as you said, you got to go to Charlotte FC stepping forward and now trying to get themselves back into this game offensively.
We see it at every level. When a goal is scored, what is each team reaction? And the mistake that a lot of goal scoring teams make is they become reactive. They take their foot off the pedal. If one thing is clear in soccer data, it's that after you score, you need to continue to be aggressive, because if you sit back, the goal is coming the other way.
Gorgeous switch from McFarland to Venegas. Venegas gets caught in possession. Who else but Carmona picking it up. Looking to slip it through for Taggart. And now the foul will go against NYCFC. So Mohamed Hassan was playing advantage there originally.
You wonder if for Charlotte FC in this tournament, they would prefer to be down right now. They want to have their back against the wall. They want to be the explicit underdog. You can see their confidence growing after they give up the goal. Nothing to lose at this point.
You don't think the best would be back against the wall, but not down a goal? Armeino coming forward now. Slips this one through. And Mork trying to lay it off for DePonzio. And then he goes up and gets called for a foul.
Did I just do the thing where I made it sound like it's better to be losing?
Well, the worst possible scenario would be to be up 2-0. You'd never want that. Although the Houston Dynamo were up 2-0 in the last game, and Tigres came back and won 3-2. So, cliches.
Here we see NYCFC with the free kick from 30 yards out, and they have the wind at their back. We've seen throughout the week the challenge of navigating these set pieces, especially when you have the wind. You would think that it makes it easier. But so often you try and harness it, and you go through it and put it over the net. So if they can get up and down on this to get it on target, the wind helps, but it's an increased dynamic here as they make a decision.
So it was DePonzio who set the ball. And it looks like he will lay it off. Haksari with the drive right into the wall. It was the center back, Clevis Haksari. Haksari trying to drive that one through the broken wall.
And I like that. A, because center back's taking set pieces, yes please. And B, because as we talked about, it is hard to navigate an up and down free kick with the wind. So what do? Just drive right through it.
Throwing coming. Corner kick coming here for NYCFC. We have about 5 minutes left to play in this first half. Our third of 4 round of 16 matches here on Twitch and on the MLS YouTube page. Short corner. Ponce Ocampo. This cross knocked up at the first defender. And the clearance from Charlotte only to the foot of Stafford. NYCFC back into the attack. Armeino skates by 2 defenders. A tackle in midfield for Charlotte from Pena. Now Charlotte stretching their lines out a little. If you're Charlotte FC, Bobby, what's your thought process if you're this coaching staff? What are you sort of going to look for to try and turn things around in the second half?
You feel okay about the first half, even though it hasn't gone your way with the score. NYCFC has rarely been threatening.
This ball over the top taken by Brown.
You are, if you are a Charlotte FC player, confident now after these first 30 minutes that you can play at this level. That yes, NYCFC might be one of the top academies in the country, but there has been a statement over these 25 minutes that Charlotte FC can also compete at that level.
Charlotte FC, their inaugural trip to the Generation Adidas Cup. This is the top tournament for MLS academies to play in. U15's now fully expanded, so U15 and U17 competition, along with some of the best academies on the planet. Manchester United, Flamengo, River Plate, AS Roma, Porto. Some of the best youth developers, some of the best young players in the world. And chance for these MLS players to test themselves against it. Charlotte FC pulling players from across the Carolinas, North and South Carolina. As Bader gets this ball back with space to run into. Finding Carmona between the lines. Carmona back to Bedoya. And all the way coming back is DePonzio to make the defensive play. And Mork looking for the run of Diego Rossi. Rossi putting the pressure on, and Neely's out there to close it down. Martin keeps that one in play somehow. And Miller wins that 50-50 and gets it under control. And Diego Rossi can run for days out there on that right wing for NYCFC. Neely, that one run by him. Marshall will take the touch all the way back. Neely and Marshall both training multiple times a week with the first team under Miguel Angel Ramirez. Two of the 4 starters in this side who have been consistently part of that first team setup. DePonzio drops it back for McFarland. So Zaretzer's goal in the 18th minute, the lone strike right now.
David, on the first team topic, because we talk so often at this tournament about the alignment from first team to MLS Next Pro to 17s to 15s, all the way through the club. What have you seen from Charlotte FC and their head coach Ramirez about who this team is and their style and identity so far?
Well, they clearly want to control the ball and potentially do it through central midfield, as the foul will go against Bedoya. They want to give width through those wing backs and allow them to have that freedom. They have the personnel so far to do all the things they want to do. I think there's a bit of a question, but clearly Miguel Angel Ramirez has ideas of how he wants to control the game, and he wants to do most of that with the ball. But it is interesting that this team plays in the 3-5-2, which is what he has switched to out of necessity in this first season before all his pieces have come in. And it's interesting that this group's already in that formation.
It's funny you talk about formations too, because there was a period, maybe 2018 to 2020, that most clubs at this tournament, really around the world, had this concept of replicating exactly what the first team was doing. And we've seen a transition now where most clubs want the youth teams to have the same ideas and principles of play as the first team, but there's freedom at the academy level to play whatever suits you, because while a club wants to have a consistent identity, the head coach might change and those details might change. So when a player does transition, they need them to be able to play in a 4-3-3, 3-5-2, 3-4-3, as long as the principles of that style are consistent.
There's a beautiful build up there, stirred by Pena in midfield for Charlotte FC. Finding their feet offensively, the wind gusting mainly from behind that NYCFC goal, so it should be to the advantage of Charlotte in the second half. Armeino into the middle for Mork. A dangerous ball, but Mork brought it down and drew the foul. And Ponce Ocampo takes it quickly, but from the wrong spot. On the flip side for NYCFC, they found their feet, they got the goal. Now it's mainly been Charlotte FC in possession. What's their focus? What's the conversation at halftime?
I imagine we'll hear from the head coaching staff, take a breath. You guys can do this. Yes, Charlotte is causing us problems. They are organized. They are working hard. But we know that we are NYCFC and we can play better than this. And on the other side, if you're Charlotte, you have to be very encouraged about what you've seen. You've got 30 minutes to go get a goal. You have not been threatened at all. So I would imagine NYCFC feels more urgency to lift their level going to the next 30.
It is a gorgeous day for some soccer. Round of 16 action. Opportunity to win and move on. 60-minute games. And if tied straight to penalties as the foot race is on, Venegas. And he forces Keeley to put it out for a corner kick. Dying minutes of this first half. A minimum of 2 minutes of stoppage time. We are halfway through. NYCFC will take their time and make this the last play of the half.
Somebody in Twitch said, how do we ask the commentators questions? Do we just put it in the chat?
Right there.
The answer is?
Yes. Answer to your first question. And we'll have more coming up in the second half. We'll be here on Twitch all day.
You can also text David. I'll put his number in there in the 59th minute.
NYCFC goes short again. Diego Rossi back into the feet of Mork. Up top to Ponce Ocampo. A long touch. He tries to sneak between two defenders. And Carmona does enough to win the goal kick.
NYCFC so far David, if there's two things I want in this world, it's world peace and more short corners.
I know that. Also clipped balls. You love a clipped ball.
I do love a nice truck.
And we saw Stafford with a beautiful ball. Looked over the top earlier in this half, so Bobby is a happy man. It sounds like NYCFC will be a happy side going into halftime. They played their soccer throughout this first half. They got the breakthrough. Mork setting up Zretzer off the short corner kick. They get the goal in the 18th minute. We've got 30 more minutes to decide who will face off against the Liga MX Giants Tigres in the next round. It's the knockout stage of the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup.
As players and coaches continue evolving towards a brighter future, the constant battle of reality versus expectation is one many involved in youth soccer constantly face. The reality being, developing a player to transcend and become a professional is a long road indeed.
A U12 player might not make our U13 team the following year. And so we made that very clear at the beginning, that this is the pyramid moves in this direction and it gets harder and harder to get to the top, and the grand minority earn a professional contract and the grand minority play on the first team.
Luchi Gonzalez, the academy director at FC Dallas, knows all too well the struggles within an academy structure to develop players. But the key to success for Luchi and FC Dallas isn't only about the on-field product. It always transcends more than just that.
We don't see our first team at the top. We see FC Dallas family at the top. They're trying to develop to be an FC Dallas family member for the rest of their life. So they whether they play in our stadium or not, or whether they play in Europe, or whether they play in our senior national team, or whether they play college, or whether they're going to be a doctor, or whether they're going to be a teacher, or whether they're going to be a coach themselves, they're always going to be welcome to our stadium as a fan and as a family member. And so that idea starts at the bottom. So it's important that as a director, I communicate the realities of the pathway, but at the same time create measurable goals for each player and each family, and ask the questions of why are they in the program? Well, I want to be a professional player. Okay. Why else?
The development is a long-term process. That for every individual player there is a plan, and different players mature at different times, and you just got to trust the process. With the club investing so much resources and so much time, energy in terms of each player, we truly have a belief that each one of them has a long-term chance.
They could get cut. They could get moved to a premier team. They could end up being on a national team. And then we got to balance that mentality and how to handle that responsibility of representing your country. They could be getting trainings with the pro team or not. They could be getting a college scholarship or not. They could be talking with agents or not. And then all those situations in the pathway, with each one being different in each age, we have to make sure that we're communicating very clearly with the parents. And as the player gets older, they're becoming more independent. So with the older age groups, it's really more clear communication with the player, because he's a young man at that point, and making sure that we set goals with them that they're responsible for, that the club is responsible for supporting, but that are measurable and that are realistic. And within that process, by the time they're 16, 17, 18, they see it. They see when maybe they're going to get offered a contract or not, or they're professional bound or college bound. But guess what? Our attitude is that anybody can make it at any moment, and it's never too late. We will never tell a kid, you're not going to make it. Because I've learned in this business, never say never with these kids. There's late developers, psychologically, physically, mentally, technically, tactically. So we want to be realistic with the kids, but we don't We don't take away their dream either. But at some point, we do guide them in a direction that's going to favor them to have options and to stay in a pathway.
As the path forward becomes more and more clear for players, what does the future hold? Will North America soon be at the forefront in producing world-class caliber talent?
We are at the beginning of the story in the US. I would say, if I compare with other countries, our country is a baby country. So it will happen. I cannot tell you when, but more and more we will produce very good kids and high-level players. Why? Because right now, when you are 6 and 7 years old, you can play soccer pretty often.
These kids are growing up, and now their dream is to be part of that first team of FC Dallas, of the LA Galaxy. So the fact that they can now see that there's an opportunity, that our clubs are giving these kids that are coming through the academy to play in the first team, it's only going to open up the future more and more.
The game is at the middle of everything we do. The game is at the middle of our business in MLS. The game is in the middle of our development. It has to revolve around soccer. So I think that's where we as a country need to continue to strive to get better and educate ourselves and be curious to learn concepts from all over the world, and not generalize this game. This game has a lot of little details and is very thorough, and it's important that we answer for these players in training, that we answer the questions of why, how, when, where in our training environment, so that our kids can understand references and be prepared as they get older to be a high-level player and a world-class player.
I'm excited that I feel like the next generation of coaches, the ones that MLS is heavily investing in, it's a younger generation. I think we're all hungry for knowledge. We're here to get better. And when we get better, our players are going to get better, right? When we get these competitions, our players are going to get better. They are exciting times, in this country, and I feel the potential to catch up to the rest of the world powers is there. The sooner the better, right?
The sun is shining in Frisco, Texas for 2022 Generation Adidas Cup knockout action. Charlotte FC in their inaugural appearance at this tournament, facing off against NYCFC, trailing 1-0 in the first half. David Goss and Bobby Warshaw with you here on Twitch and on the MLS YouTube page, as we have 30 minutes to decide who will go on to the quarterfinals and who will move into the consolation bracket here at the GA Cup. NYCFC, an 18th minute goal from their defensive midfielder in Zaretzer, set up by Tyler Mork, has them ahead 1-0 coming out of halftime. And Bobby, an impressive performance in that first half for NYCFC in spells, but Charlotte FC have hung in there.
Yeah, the balance for NYCFC is they were the better team. They dominated the game, and yet they did not reach the heights that we would expect of them or they would expect of themselves. One of the best academies in the country, multiple players on the professional pathway, still another gear to get into. And for me, David, Charlotte is the team that feels better about that first half. They demonstrated themselves that in a knockout round at Generation Adidas Cup, they can play with the best. And yes, they need to make adjustments. They need to improve in this second half as well. But they will feel more confident that they can grow into the next 30 minutes.
Mork sprays it out wide for Armeino, who's been a threat all game, helping create some of the best opportunities. Bobby, you listened in a little bit to the NYCFC halftime chat. What were they talking about? What's the focus?
The main theme was sharper. Continue to play, continue to be calm on the ball. Let's just become a little bit sharper. And two main takeaways for me were that they know that Charlotte needs to become more aggressive. They need to play forward. And with the way NYCFC plays, it's going to mean 1v1s and man-v-man at the back, and you just have to be brave. Be comfortable as a defender, dealing in 1v1 situations in space. It's a demand of so many teams at the top level. And two, they're comfortable with the ball. They're comfortable without the ball. It's the transitions that worry them. So how can they make sure that they, A, limit transitions, and B, always be prepared and rest defense state to limit the risk of those transitions if they happen?
I wandered over for a minute. My favorite part was Jose Jimenez saying, they're stronger than us physically for the most part. We have to admit that. He just said it out loud, and he said, but we are what we are, right? We are ball possession players.
One of the best parts about working at this tournament is the opportunity to listen to these team talks, and almost everyone I walk out of impressed.
Opportunity for NYCFC over the top. Venegas challenging the tackle from behind. And our referee waits play on. It was Kelly with the slide tackle. And he makes it cleanly. And then Ponce Ocampo lays down, picks up the ball. Venegas turns it on goal. And another big tackle. This time by Neely. Charlotte FC coming out and defending resolutely at the back. Link Andrew in the chat on Twitch will love that, as we get a For the Crown from him. And let's go down to our North Carolina representative, our sideline reporter, Kelly Glendenning.
Yeah, I got to listen in on their halftime talk. Head coach Dan Locke, he said that they're really going to work on those long diagonal balls and breaking that line when it comes through the offensive side of Charlotte FC's second half plan. But then also on the defensive end, they really want to deal with NYCFC's, their false nine, make sure they're really passing them along when they're shifting their shape throughout the game.
Jacob and first, as we've spent the whole tournament coming back, should make for an engaging half. That has been the story for Charlotte. You heard Kelly mention that false nine, Mateo Ponce Ocampo. A lot of teams say it. I see very few rarely do it as well as what NYCFC does with him as that number 9.
Yeah, particularly at this level. That's a great report from Kelly. And we noticed it midway through the first half. Ponce Ocampo dropping back. And when that happens, particularly in the progression phase,
as Venegas now charges into the attack, he was looking for Ponce Ocampo, wins the ball back. It's been an impressive performance throughout this game here from Jeffrey Venegas. Now it's Rossi. Rossi pulls it back, 1v1 with Bader. Space here for the goal scorer. And Zaretzer puts that one far out to the left side.
In between two minds there for Zaretzer. Not sure if he's going to lift it to the far post, shoot it. Too many highlights here in the first half, David, to even get them all in at once.
Charlotte goes short out of the back.
To finish the conversation about the halftime talks, David, we both love listening to them, and I find that there are two consistent themes to all of them. The first,
as Charlotte tries to take on that halftime talk, and the drive on goal, and Ugadayev with his first save of the game.
And what a build out from Charlotte FC here. We've already been preaching the ability to pass for NYCFC, and here's Charlotte, the team that comes through and really has the best progression of the game, starting with their goal kick, breaking lines. I'm not sure the ball left the ground at any part of that full field passing sequence.
See the replay of that sequence. It's Sam Siri, the right back, coming on as a sub at halftime in place of the center mid Miller. Helped lead that attack, Bobby, as it looks like a formation change of sorts for this Charlotte FC side.
Yeah, they've moved to a 4-defender set with 2 midfielders in front of them, 3 attackers led by number 10 Carmona in the number 10 role, and then 1 center striker up top. Taggart currently playing that number 9 role in the number 18 jersey.
And Charlotte creating those passing angles with that formation change. And Bobby, one of the things you talked about the coaches at halftime a little bit. The other theme we've heard here is letting players figure it out. Now NYCFC, these young players have to figure it out on the fly. What are they looking at and how do they react?
In terms of facing the formation change?
Yeah.
They will often have played against a back 4 naturally throughout the season, so it's tapping into that muscle memory. How do you go about your pressing schemes against a back 4? Where is the space going to be? What lanes do you need to move away? So I'm not sure if this is a complex chemistry question for them at this point, as much as tapping into their knowledge and allowing the muscle memory in the situation to take over.
Charlotte FC trying to build some opportunities here. Not going to make it back-to-back comebacks for us here on the broadcast. Tigres coming back from 2 goals down against the Houston Dynamo in the previous game to make it to the quarterfinals, as Carmona with the through ball.
And to answer your question more specifically about defending against a 4-2-3-1 compared to any type of 3-5-2, the main parts of that shape that flex is that when a team moves into a 4-2-3-1 from a 3-5-2, they have more flexibility on the movement of the attacking wide players. Originally in a 3-5-2, you do not have players that can move off the touchline and come central, whereas in a 4-2-3-1 you do, and then the angle is pressing what has changed from a back 3 to a back 2. When it's 3, you often will just send your 3 1v1 at them. All of a sudden when it's 2, you generally want to split the middle, and these are the recognitions that NYCFC has to figure out on the fly.
Charlotte preparing 2 more subs. Kemp Wilson, the number 9 who started 2 of the 3 games in the group stage, will come on here about 10 minutes into this second half. Irvin Cruz Garcia will also make an appearance off the bench. We've seen him off the bench a couple times so far in this tournament. Rossi now into the feet of Mork. Now Ponce Ocampo. And Mork knocks it all the way back. And look how deep Charlotte FC is as a team. Ponce Ocampo dropping in to find the ball. Mork now. Out wide for Rossi. NYCFC getting into their rhythm. Haxari to Venegas. Charlotte FC puts a good tackle in. Venegas keeps possession alive. Ponce Ocampo showing his footwork off. And now Carmona starts the attack. Carmona into the open field. And Ugadayev, the first one to it.
Again, NYCFC comfortable when they have the ball, comfortable when they don't have the ball. It's the defensive transitions that are the concern as they went through that progression phase. They sent 7 players forward. It was 2 center backs and 1 defensive midfielder in front of them, nobody wide, leaving themselves exposed to transition. When they turned that ball over, they were always going to be in danger, particularly when you have a player like number 10 Carmona running into the depth against you.
So Taggart comes off, as does Martin. And we'll see Irvin Cruz Garcia come on in place of Martin on the far right side. And that change at center forward with Kemp Wilson.
I am surprised to see Charlotte making adjustments and substitutions this early into the half. I would have expected them to go another 5 minutes in a similar approach, slightly more reactive, not chasing the goal, waiting for NYCFC to make that mistake. That was the original game plan coming into it.
Taggart showed his quality throughout this game. Ability to press, his touch in possession. Didn't get a whole lot of help up top. It's a substitute, Siri, now pushing into the attack. Carmona picks it up, pushes it wide now for Wilson's first touch. Wilson gets the cross away, and no one there, and it's Hugo Dayev to take it down.
Now that we have a chance to breathe, 5 minutes after I originally brought it up, two concepts that we see from a lot of the team talks from the coaches at halftime. One is that they almost always start the team talk with questions. They look at their team, they say, how are you feeling? What are you seeing? What do you think? What's going on out there? They really look for the players to provide the initial answers.
Rossi up the line. Venegas. Now all the way back for Rossi. Rossi in a battle, and he'll earn a free kick.
And number two is that they're always extremely calm. We must have watched 30 team talks so far this week, and not a single time have the coaches laid into or yelled at the players.
One time.
One time?
Yeah. Pumas U15s. It was one of the most intense things I've seen. That's the only reason it stands out in my mind. But you are right, Bobby.
It's always very calming, very tactical. So if you are a coach out there or a player wondering what it's like at this level, those are two main takeaways that we've seen consistently at the event.
Rossi will go short here. And Bobby, I think about for a player, right? You talk about in a big moment as Rossi plays this into the path of Mork. Mork now under pressure. A battle in the corner, and the ball rolls out. It'll be a deep throw in here for Charlotte. But I think about it as a player, you know, you get to a final. All the work going into that final was done over the 20 years of your life, the practices. That's the same for these coaches here, which is you're not going to teach a player how to play today. You're not going to recreate the wheel. And I think you're seeing a lot of coaches, the main comments is trust what we work on, trust who we are, trust what we believe in. And as you said, that common poise without the screaming. I've only heard one coach who's lost their voice, and I think it was more from karaoke than from yelling on the sideline, Doc Rivers style. Free kick to be played in. It drops in the box, cleared up into the sky. McFarland, the acrobatic kick. Charlotte FC still trying to clear it away, and finally Carmona does. So this is the third of our 4 streams of the 8 round of 16 games here at the Generation Adidas Cup. As Carmona, the collision there against Mork right into the NYCFC bench. And so their coaches and trainers right there to try and help Mork out. We are approaching 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, which means the other 4 non-streamed round of 16 matches are all about to kick off on the fields around us. And so we'll get you updated as those games wear along. We do have another broadcast coming to you at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central. That's as those games will be in the second half and finish off. So we'll get you all those live updates, live scores from the fields around us. So those knockout games going on all around us. And we'll take a look at the bracket and walk you through those matchups. We've got Manchester United, LA Galaxy here on this field after these two teams finish. Right now, NYCFC leading with the opportunity to go to the quarterfinals and face off against the Giants out of Mexico and Tigres. As Stafford trying to pull back Carmona, he can't. Wilson in an offside position.
Our first sauce alert in the game, though, from Carmona. Who else but Carmona?
As we take a look at that bracket, so the game's kicking off. River Plate against Dallas Locals. Solar on the field next to us. The Philadelphia Union, one of the favorites in this tournament, against the Sounders, who have been phenomenal as well. Minnesota United on 6 points in the group stage, facing off against Monterrey, who went perfect in that group stage. And I think one of the tastiest matchups, the Columbus Crew against Celtic from Scotland. We saw Celtic able to close things down, score early, and then keep their leads against Cincinnati and the Revs. But this Columbus team has some firepower in it. Venegas has some firepower in his legs as well. Just can't get that cross on target. So both teams preparing substitutions in this second half. NYCFC pressing. Ponce Ocampo for the path of Armeino. He looked like he could have driven himself maybe towards the center of that box.
He decided to go with the number 10 for this jersey, David.
Yeah.
You wear the number 10, you opt for the pass instead of the shot.
I think we've seen some good players in this tournament. I think Ponce Ocampo, from touch, from soccer IQ, stands there alongside the best we see.
He also looks the part, doesn't he? The way he moves about the field, the gracefulness, the swagger.
He looks like an NYCFC player. African Stew on the Twitch chat says Carmona is a baller. And we can't disagree with you at all on that one. He has been impressive in this game. So the two wingers will be swapped for NYCFC. And Bobby, I thought Jeffrey Venegas in this one, as well as Gianluca Armeino, were both really impressive.
They were. They didn't get on the score sheet, but constantly running in behind, causing problems for the Charlotte back five, then back four. They put in a good shift today and get a deserved rest now.
So it looks like Khaled Daoud will come on the right side, and Dren De Bruyne will come on along the left side. So fresh legs into the attack for NYCFC. A little over midway through this second half, still hanging on to their first half goal in the 18th minute from the defensive midfielder Mikhail Zaretzer. Charlotte FC looked comfortable in this game at times, yet to be truly goal threatening. Will this set piece open things up for them? Who else but Brian Carmona to take this corner kick. Carmona over this one. NYCFC, all 11 players back in the box to defend. Floated to the far post, headed back towards goal, but it'll go out alongside the end line.
We've seen consistently throughout the tournament how dangerous Charlotte can be on set pieces. Kelly comes forward, Neely comes forward. As this game moves on, 15 minutes left. It could likely will be a set piece for Charlotte to get back into the game.
In the last game, with a 2-0 deficit, Tigres, a goal off a corner kick, a goal off a set piece to tie things up before the winner in the run of play in transition. As Bobby said, set pieces have been key in this competition. We saw it in the other 15s, their quarterfinals last night as well. Beautiful footwork from Rossi as he is dragged down.
You've seen Rossi multiple times throughout the tournament. David, give us the scouting report on what really is maybe the brightest prospect at right back in this event.
There, you just look right there. It's a player who wants you to press him because he loves when you come at him with that speed and aggression, and he'll just touch it right by you. I saw him against Red Bulls. High pressing. He played out of it every single time. He can drop, he can duck in field, pick up the ball and play as a midfielder. His footwork's great, and you've seen the running. He doesn't tire. He's making the recovery runs. He's the first guy pushing forward to start the attack. You can see why he was in that first team picture at such a young age.
And David, I love that point about running, because when you think at the professional level, as all of these clubs have their positional profiles, what are they looking for emotionally, physically, technically from players at each position? For me, one of the most important parts, and something that I have in my positional profile for outside backs, is energy. Constant running. No complaints about going up and down and up and down. I think really the template for it in recent years in Major League Soccer is a Kai Wagner at left back for the Philadelphia Union. Nothing pretty about his game per se, but just relentless energy up and down, up and down.
Won Harrison Awful, a MLS Cup, and a few international appearances for Ghana as well. And it is a position, Bobby, and we've seen talent all across this field, right? NYCFC produced Gio Reyna, and so you can produce players at any position, but it feels like fullbacks won with the history of college draft picks getting spots there, getting opportunities, that young academy players can fill in. And what Tavon Gray has shown can fill in maybe for years for a pro team, an MLS team at a high level. This young man will be expected to do that on the left side. Christian McFarland, his afternoon is done already on a homegrown contract. And another strong performance for that young man. Rossi with the Cruyff, and immediately beats his defender 1v1. Cross played in, and the header just over the crossbar.
And Rossi loves that soul roll. All different types of ways. He's done the V before. This one's the pull back and go. Picks up his head, finds the player in the middle. A nice delivery.
And Aaron Uloa trying to show his sauce as well.
Shout out in the chat that number 7, that is Rossi, is comfy on the ball. And I just want to say, David, I don't think we use the word comfy enough in the broadcast.
I don't think we do. That is a clear oversight and a great shout. Rossi, his clearance hits Carmona, who's pressing hard in this one. Wilson trying to get some touches up top. To Ponzio. Went over to pick that ball up. A collision off the ball. And it was Pena coming in a little bit late on that opportunity.
Again, here we see Rossi beating his player wide, picking his head, just the deft ball to the top of the 6. Always tough for a striker to get up and down on that header. But once again, we see the quality that Rossi is providing down this right side.
So Mr. Mujak on Twitch, Bobby, he's got a long one for you on a response. I'm going to read it to you. He said, at this age, running and energy is important, obviously. That links to attitude, but surely at this age, they should also be learning composure, decision-making under pressure, tactical awareness, etc. I think we agree. I think you can teach a kid more than one thing at the same time, and I think from Diego Rossi, you're looking at a player, when you mention the way he beats defenders, an understanding of how each part of the foot works with the ball. And I think the player that I've seen at the highest level ever do that is Efrain Alvarez. How each part of your foot can be used for a different pass at a different moment. Generation Adidas Cup. You made a face at me, Bobby. I wasn't talking about Iniesta and Xavi and Pirlo. But I think Rossi has shown he has that tactical IQ. He has that understanding. But that's a great response. And that's all part of what is these young players' educations. And it's really cool to hear. For a lot of teams, these players have something called an IDP, an individual development program. So you do teamwork together as a group. You do training, obviously, some sort of physical work to work on your fitness. And then each player has a program of things they need to specifically work on to get to the next level. So if a player's already good at crossing, maybe it's learning how to dribble and take guys 1v1. All these different things that can make a player more complete. We are into the final 5 minutes of this one. NYCFC leading in this round of 16 match, a chance at the quarterfinals against Tigres on the line. Charlotte FC, they came back in their opening game against the Seattle Sounders from a 1-goal deficit. They knocked off Liga MX side Santos Laguna 3-0 in their second game. Then a 2-1 win over Austin FC put them top of their group. This opportunity against New York. Is there one more comeback in the cards? Beautiful ball over the top. And it just runs a little too hard for Kevin Jimenez Aguilar.
56th minute of a 60-minute game. Charlotte need a goal. David, it feels to me like the most likely route is an individual moment of magic from number 10, Carmona. Outside the one full field buildup, which was fantastic, they've struggled to connect and create chances, but they still have maybe the most special player in this age group on the field, number 10 and behind the striker. Anything can happen at any moment.
Tomlinson, coming on here off the bench. Zaponzio's afternoon done. Bobby, that midfield three of him. Zaretzer, who scored the goal, and Wilton had the assist. It's very NYCFC, their ability to rotate and find the game.
It is, and credit to them for rising to the challenge of today's game presented. It wasn't a beautiful game. They had to compete. They had to go into duels, and they lived up to that. They never hit their rhythm, but here they are with a 1-0 lead over a team who wanted to bring organization and physicality to unsettle them.
Forced in the Twitch chat. We won't have a stream here of Monterrey versus Minnesota. We will have updates coming for you. That game just kicking off about 10 minutes ago. This game will finish. We've got another broadcast coming up at the top of the hour. And with that one, we'll come in with all the score updates from the fields around us, and we will keep you updated as those games close somewhere in our first half of that stream of Manchester United against LA Galaxy. Wilson has it knocked away at the last second by Stafford. Battle in midfield now. Rossi with the big clearance to reset things for NYCFC.
And mature from Rossi, again, going back to the theme. NYCFC feel comfortable when they have it. When they don't have it, it's the transitions that are worrisome. So don't allow yourself the chance to get transition, play into the depth, and reset.
Ocampo battling in midfield there with Neely. Neely stepping forward with those halftime substitutions and showing his range in his game at that center midfield position, and why Miguel Angel Ramirez is so excited about him. NYCFC trying to hang on to their first half goal. Dying minutes of this one. Is there one more chance in it for Charlotte? We have seen drama throughout this tournament. We've seen stoppage time equalizers. We've seen big comebacks. We've seen outrageous penalty kick shootouts as well. Substitution coming for this Charlotte side. Lorenzo Marin coming on. Charlotte emptying the bench, looking for that answer. Carmona with a flick over the top. Stafford heads it away. Stafford under pressure. Clears it out for a throw-in.
NYC let off the hook. They play to the second layer. Comes down. They don't squeeze fast enough. They're exposed on the second ball, allowing Charlotte a chance to run at their back four.
And Wilson almost sneaking in there. Stafford, though, not messing around.
We'll see what happens on this one. As they play into the second layer, against the wind, getting pressed, can they squeeze the center backs quick enough so that
NYCFC turns it over out of the back. Wilson lines up the shot, and he curls it wide. And it looks like Celtic, the opening goal right now over Columbus. Off to our right. NYCFC trying to hang on here. Charlotte starting to turn the screws with their pressure higher up the field in the dying moments of this second half. NYCFC previous champions at the Premier Division level before this new format at the Generation Adidas Cup. Led in that one by future pros and Gio Reyna, Joe Scally, Will Sands. A ton of talent in that group, and this NYCFC group trying to match what they did. Quickly rolled into play. Neely pushing it just a little bit wider. The Meg there from Kelly. Kelly out wide. Marine just off the bench, cutting it back. Tries to sneak through defenders. Gets back to his feet. Beautifully done in the end by the goal scorer, Zretzer.
The best type of sauce? Center back sauce.
Perky Bobby on the broadcast here as we approach. Are we into stoppage time? On this one, we'll wait for Mohammed Hassan, our head official, to give the indication. As Marshall floats that one over the top. Rossi up the line. Charlotte FC working hard here in the scorching heat in Frisco, Texas for that one chance. Is it going to come for New York on the counter? De Bruyne against Seri. And Sam Seri with the recovery. He has been phenomenal coming on at halftime. And it will be a minimum of 4 minutes of stoppage time. Ponce Ocampo, not enough on that layoff. Irvin Garcia, all the way back for Kelly. Big ball over the top as the wing gusts through the backs of Charlotte FC. We saw Inter Miami, a 2-1 win in the opening game here today to move into the knockout round, to move on in the knockout rounds to the quarterfinals. An unbelievable performance from Brian Destin, 2 goals to put his team into the next stage. The Houston Dynamo a 2-0 lead over Tigres, falling 3-2 to the comeback. And now NYCFC trying to hang on to a 1-0 lead.
Assuming New York City holds on to this, David, who are the favorites for you going into that quarterfinal round for the under-17s?
I think NYCFC over Tigres. Tigres is a team, and they match up interestingly. Tigres is a team that doesn't want the ball. Everything they do is in transition. If you missed that first game, they've got 2 twin brothers up top in Isaac and Isias Galvan. Isias, a Mexican U17 international, and a little attacker, Diego Sanchez, on the left wing, who may be the best individual player I have seen in this competition. And everything they do is in transition. As an opportunity here for Charlotte FC. And we spoke too soon about the next round.
The 3rd minute of stoppage time. Charlotte FC taken down in the box.
And who else to step up to it but Brian Carmona. He has tried to drag this team back into it. And it looks like he's just setting it. Azpilicueta style for Kemp Wilson. Wilson now waiting. Kemp Wilson, the number 9. He started 2 of 3 group stage games. He comes off the bench here in the round of 16 in stoppage time. Maybe the final kick of this game from the spot to equalize and send it to penalties. Yagudayev against Wilson. And it's saved by Yagudayev, and he picks up the rebound. An NYCFC bench ecstatic. A lifeline for Charlotte, and Yagudayev shuts the door. And NYCFC, a stoppage time penalty kick save, are headed to the quarterfinals in the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup.
What a moment for NYCFC goalkeeper Yagudayev. The last kick of the match, a penalty kick to tie it up. He dives down to his right. He makes the save. He catches it. And he holds on to the 1-0 lead for NYCFC to advance.
What a game. What a moment. The penalty kick save to save it. The goal from Zaretzer in the first half. NYCFC moves on to the quarterfinals. The tip of the cap took both teams on an incredible performance. For myself, David Goss, my partner Bobby Walshaw, and Kelly Glendenning, we'll be back with one more game coming up. It's the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup knockout rounds.